These are 10 hidden reasons of why I'll see my patients and clients feeling tired all the time. And the very first one that I always want to do is investigate and looking at different micronutrients that could be deficient. And I see this time and time again with my patients when they're feeling tired all the time. Some of the biggest ones is an obvious one is vitamin D3. Probably about 50% of the population tends to be vitamin D deficient. And if you're low on that and not supplementing for that and addressing that, you're going to feel tired all the time. Now, some other really ones to really look out for when it comes to different micronutrient deficiencies is like vitamin B6 and also vitamin B12. Both of those are important vitamins for not only helping giving energy to different cells, but also for different neurotransmitters to help us to focus, be motivated, have the energy, managing sleep and stress, all sorts of different things. So if those are not adequate, then it becomes a big problem. Some other really big ones is obviously iron, not just for women, but like when there is a deficiency in iron, I see this all the time also with males, is that they will feel tired all the time because iron is what carries oxygen and blood and nutrients to the body and throughout the brain. And so if you're deficient on that, you're going to definitely feel tired. And some other really big ones is magnesium and zinc. Both of these, not only are they so vital for helping with energy, but they're also really one of the most important things that we need to function in our body and our body chemistry. They need enough magnesium and zinc to making different neurotransmitters, also helping with a lot of biochemical processes throughout our body. So if you are low on that fuel, you're going to definitely feel tired. And another one that is really important that people probably don't think of is selenium. Now, selenium is a very important type of nutrient that our thyroid needs. And if you're deficient on it and you're supposed to have a thyroid issue, it's going to be very difficult to understand why with your thyroid, even with taking medication, you're still feeling tired. It's probably because you have some very key micronutrient deficiencies that have not been addressed with your thyroid condition, such as like selenium. Now, the second big hidden reason of why you probably feel tired all the time is your environment. The environment toxicities that happen to us on a day-to-day basis. And some of the really big ones to really look out for is mold exposure, which is probably more common than you really think, especially if you live in the Northwest like I do, where when it gets really dark and cold and wet, mold tends to build up. And when there's mold exposure in your house, it's going to not only contribute to you feeling tired, but it definitely can impact your neurological system and cause things such as like brain fog, fatigue, confusion, and multiple other things that is just not good. The other things there too is definitely looking out for different metal toxicities that could be contributing to your situation, such as mercury, lead, things that you're consuming. Also, even the air that you breathe. If you're living next to a factory that is producing all these toxic chemicals into the air, you might want to reconsider moving. I also remember I had a patient that lived right next to a huge power line, and we ran so many different tests and I couldn't really figure out why she was feeling tired all the time. But then I realized that, you know, living next to a power plant, some people, this is a little bit more rare than others, that don't do so well with big, huge electric fields and stuff like that. And that can contribute to their fatigue. And as soon as we had her move away from that, her energy perked back up, her health improve significantly. So sometimes it could be that. And this is why environment is so key. That could be contributing to your fatigue situation. The third hidden reason is probably one of the biggest ones that I see time and time again with my patients and clients is that they deal with something called adrenal insufficiency syndrome. Now, the adrenals are so important when it comes to a lot of different hormones, such as producing epinephrine, norepinephrine, and also cortisol. And so with adrenal insufficiency syndrome, it's when you have low cortisol levels. Cortisol is what gives us energy throughout the day. And if that is dipped, it's hard to have enough energy. And I see this as a problem when someone puts themselves through a lot of stress over years and years, they reach this complete burnout where their adrenals aren't producing enough cortisol, and therefore they feel tired throughout the day. And so you have to support that. You have to eliminate a lot of stressors first off, and then support it through different nutrition, detoxification, supplementation to revitalize the adrenals in order to finally have consistent energy throughout the day again. The fourth one, this one you probably maybe experienced or didn't realize it, but it is a big hidden one, is food sensitivities. There's a lot of different food sensitivities that can contribute to fatigue. I've seen it multiple times, and it can vary as far as the food goes. A lot of times, it's a big one. It could be gluten. When people can't tolerate gluten or even dairy or nuts or eggs, their energy will be zapped. But when they can eliminate that, then they realize, wow, I can have energy throughout the day. And the big reason for that is when your body is reacting to a food not so great, it causes inflammation, and inflammation not only throughout the body, but also to the brain, causing issues of fatigue. So it's definitely something to consider if that could be a contributing factor. Along those same lines, food is so important when it comes to energy. So we want to eat the right foods, but what are some things that can be really harmful is when we are consuming a lot of sugar and we have a lot of sugar in our diet and it's causing that inflammation. But what can be more damaging in the long run is when you're more sensitive to sugar, meaning that you get spikes of blood sugar and dips of your blood sugar levels. And so imbalanced blood sugar levels definitely will contribute to feeling tired all the time. The reason being is because you have this inconsistency of high energy and then low energy, and you're crashing multiple times and you're not having that consistency throughout the day. And so you got to stabilize that blood sugar, probably cutting back on the sugar intake that you're consuming and incorporating more proteins and vegetables that give you more balanced blood sugar levels throughout the day. The sixth one would be histamine intolerance. Now, what is this? This is when you might be someone that tends to get allergic a lot. You react to a lot of different things. And so you have high histamine levels, and this will cause a chronic fatigue situation. And so you might have this issue. You might want to get tested for it. And so sometimes that can be an issue. Also, if you don't have enough histamine, because histamine is also very important for making different neurotransmitters, things such as like dopamine, serotonin, and GABA, that would give you some energy and motivation and drive. So you don't want one extreme to the next. You want something nice in the balance of having histamine levels. So it's something to definitely consider. Seventh one would be unrecognized anxiety or stress. And I'd say this is a bigger problem with adult men thinking that they don't have anxiety or stress, but their internal body knows that they do. And when you have prolonged stress going on and it's not being resolved, it does contribute to causing chronic fatigue. Because your body just can't handle the constant stress that you're putting your body through, whether that's doing it intentionally or unintentionally, or being in toxic relationships or work environments. Your body just can't keep up with it, and it's going to contribute to your chronic fatigue situation. Now, if you're trying to look for ways to improve your energy and your focus, then you should download my free all-day energy and focus guide in the description below. The eighth hidden reason, now this one's pretty fascinating, is if you struggle with keeping yourself hydrated, this could be a reason of why you're also dealing with chronic fatigue, because hydration is really important. And so when you are dealing with chronic dehydration, you're dehydrating not only the body, but also the brain, which is made up of like 70% water. And when you're dehydrated, it's very hard to not only have the energy, but you need circulation. The body needs the liquid and the water to be able to utilize and push vitamins and nutrients throughout the entire body and also to the brain. And when the body and the brain is dehydrated, it's hard for it to focus or concentrate, and especially not have energy. So definitely always keeping yourself hydrated is so vital and key to having consistent energy throughout the day. The ninth hidden reason would be definitely hormone imbalances. Now, which hormones? It depends on the person. There's definitely the thyroid. A lot of people will go to the thyroid thinking that, that's why they feel tired all the time. And it could be. There's a big chance it is. But sometimes you might get those thyroid tests back and your doctor says you're fine. But did you actually do a full thyroid workup? Did you actually test for free T3, free T4, anti-TPO levels, and not just testing for just TSH? Do a full workup to making sure that it is in a thyroid situation. If it's not that, then it could be other different hormone imbalances, such as like testosterone, estradiol, progesterone. It could also be DHEA, which does make testosterone and estradiol. So if those are deficient, that could be contributing to your chronic fatigue situation. And the 10th hidden reason, this might be an obvious one, but not so much if you really don't think it is a problem. And that's sleep. So some people, when I see them and they're dealing with chronic fatigue, and they say, oh yeah, my sleep's great. But then when we start tracking it and monitoring it and realize that their sleep quality is terrible, that they get up multiple times the night, but they don't realize it. Like they're tossing and turning. And so their quality of sleep, their REM sleep is really low, and they're just not getting good quality sleep. They think they're getting 8 hours of sleep, but their body is really not getting that kind of rest. And so it's good to do a sleep study to see if this is really an issue. There's also simple ways of using like Oura rings and the watches, the Apple watches that can maybe track your sleep a little bit to see if there's an issue. That's a good starting point, but definitely doing a sleep study can see if there's really an issue going on here. And sleep is so vital when it comes to providing energy for the body. The body needs to rest. And so if your quality of sleep is not great, then this definitely can be the contributing factor to your chronic fatigue situation. Now, what do you do when you know you have chronic fatigue and you've been suffering with it so long? And especially if it's a combo with maybe some ADHD symptoms you're having, which adults with ADHD tend to have major chronic fatigue issues. And so you should watch this video next, where I show my secrets to never feeling tired again with your ADHD. So watch this video next.